Devin Pike with the Dallas International Film Festival. Once again, a phenomenal slate of narrative features here at the festival this year. One of them is an adaptation of a Cormac McCarthy story, Child of God. And it's not only a study in what can happen when isolation takes hold on a human being, but also when there are no limits placed on your behavior in a civilized society. Scott Haze is here. He's the lead in the flick. And first off, Scott, phenomenal performance, man. Really well done. Thank you for bringing us to the festival.
Oh no, thank you for bringing, having Child of God here. Definitely.
I'm curious what went through your head as you're reading the script and you're looking at this character who is alone or doesn't even begin to describe his isolation from the rest of society. Talk a little about what you're going through as you're looking through the script and trying to figure out your approach to the character.
Yeah, I think, well, first I started with the novel. So I hadn't read Child of God. I'd read No Country for Old Men. I was familiar with Blood Meridian. So when I found out about Child of God, I went and I got the novel, and James was like, buy this book today, and I did, and I was shocked. I mean, I literally held the book. I read it all in one day, and I couldn't quit reading, and I said, oh my God, I'm gonna do that. And so I started with the novel, but what was going through my head was, oh Lord, here we go. That's what I was thinking.
How much prep did you have to do physically for the role? Because I wouldn't say you're unrecognizable because you have very distinctive features, and regardless of what you would actually do other than makeup. But what did you do for physical prep for the role?
What I did was I knew that Cormac set the novel in Sevierville, Tennessee. So what I did was I moved to Tennessee many months before I actually had to start filming. And at the time, I got done playing a Marine, and I'd been working out really hard to put on muscle and get in shape, and I knew that here's a guy living in the woods with no food, and he's having to scavenge to eat. And so I went from 195, I dropped 45 pounds, just because I went on the diet that Lester would have at the time. What else did I do? Obviously, I quit shaving and showering, and you don't do those things when you're in a cabin in the woods, but yeah, I ate a piece of fish and apple a day, and it actually wasn't that bad. It was just kind of the way it went down.
People look at James Franco, people who don't know all of the work that he does as a writer, as a director, as a producer, and they look at him and you think Pineapple Express, you think Instagram, you think Spider-Man. Talk about working with him as a director and a co-writer on a project like this.
I think that a lot of the things that James is doing is prolific, and if we look back at time, he's doing poetry. He just did last night. He did a art gallery in New York City. So I think what he is involved with is he's taking some of our greatest writers in American literature and translating those into novels, as he's done with Cormac McCarthy. Working with him as a director is the best because, in my opinion, he's one of the greatest actors of my generation. You name these movies, and he does so many movies, but if you do look at Pineapple Express, and you do look at Milk and 127 Hours, and then you think about James Dean, the movie he did with Mark Rydell, I think it was in 2000, he is prolific. So the trust I have with him as my friend, as much as knowing that he understands the actor's situation of being in that moment, of how to maneuver a situation or help tell a story. It's the best of both worlds working with an actor like him who is a director, and he's an amazing director, so it's the best.
Child of God was described by the person who said you really got to see this film. This is before I knew it was going to be one of the slates, as one of the darker films you will see this year. Have you had a chance to actually watch the film in its final version?
Of Child of God?
Yes.
Yeah. We premiered the film in Venice, and you watched the film with everybody. So they had James and I sit there, and yeah, I've seen the movie a few times.
As you know where the beats are in the story. You know what's going to hit the audience. Were you looking around at everybody else, watching their reaction as the story just deepens and gets thicker towards the second act?
No, not really. I was. What was I thinking when I was watching it? I was thinking, my buddy, the great editor Curtis Clayton, came up to me and said there was something wrong with the sound at the test run. And this huge auditorium in Venice, Italy is just packed with people. And I just kept thinking, the sound's going to go out any minute. And people are just going to like, what's going on? There's no sound. No, it was just a beautiful night. And it was blessed and on all levels. I don't know, the reception was amazing. We got a standing ovation and they loved it in Venice.
As somebody who comes from Dallas and you're working so much, it's got to be hard to get back and go to Fuel City and grab some tacos or go to one of the local hotspots. What's it like to come back here and see a festival that is 11 days of just diverse film from across the world?
Well, it's funny, you know. We're right here off Central Expressway, and I used to drive up and down the street just doing my favorite scenes when I was in high school, whether it's in Fight Club or Carlito's Way or some of the movies that I really wanted to, you know. I admired these actors, so I'd reenact these scenes in Dallas, Texas, and I'd go to the local theater, and I went to Allen High School, and I used to tell people, I want to do this thing acting. They're like, no, you're good at sports. Stick with sports. You know, what do you want to act for? I remember thinking, you know, I'm going to do this. I'm going to at least pursue it. And to come back to this city, which is my home, and, you know, you fly into DFW, and I'm coming back for this festival here. It's like a dream come true for me, especially to bring this film. This film, I think, is one of those films that will last a long time. It's not a festival film where you watch it at a festival and forget about it. I think if you actually get the chance to see Child of God, and it comes out in theaters August 1st, it will affect you on some level. And that's my hope, is that we can do that, is touch people by telling stories, even if it is dark, you know. But I think we've all been lonely in times, and we've been isolated, and I think that we've all had that experience. So Lester is just magnified and examined on like the utmost level of going through those natural human conditions that we all relate to. So it's cool to be here. You've
nailed acting. Obviously, you were on one of the lists of the 10 actors to watch in 2013. Obviously, you took that and put it aside because you can't focus on that as somebody who's doing work. But you're also a writer as well. Do you have any projects coming up where you can stay behind the camera, other than the writing projects I've seen on perhaps IMDb?
Yeah, I mean, I own a theater in LA, and we're always creating plays and looking for plays. And I was just talking to some of the people behind this movie over at Wellgo USA about teaming up with some of the theaters here in Dallas and bringing that to Los Angeles, because there's a lot of exposure you might get in. Actors always want to be seen, right? I have a theater. I like to provide opportunities for some of my friends who don't get that opportunity to get seen. So we'll throw film festivals. As a director, I directed 2 movies last year. The last one was based on Dr. Charles Mooley. He's a humanitarian who basically is changing the face of Africa. So I was in Africa in December, and I'm going back to Africa in a couple weeks to finish filming. And yeah, it's a blessing to be able to do all aspects of what I love to do, is tell these stories about people that are really changing the world. This guy's rescuing street children. He's legally adopted 8,500 kids off the streets of Africa, and not just, they don't apply. He goes out and rescues them from Kibera slums or different parts of Nairobi and gives them a new life. So that's a story worth telling. And I love doing all that, whether it's writing, directing, or obviously acting.
I would love to see that documentary. That's one I'm going to get your contact information, so I've got to see a cut of that. That's going to be an amazing film.
Yeah, I mean, we hope so. You know, that's
you can catch Child of, actually you can't catch Child of God here at the festival. It's sold out. You're going to have to catch it when it hits on August 1st. Phenomenal film, and believe me when I tell you, clear your slate afterwards, because you're going to be dealing with a lot of different emotional responses once it's done. Scott, thank you for coming back to Dallas, and we'll see you soon. You bet. You can find out more about this film at dallasfilm.org and all the films at the festival on our alumni as well. Catch Child of God when you see it on August 1st, and be prepared to be amazed. Thank you so much.
Thank you.